Well, here I am again this morning. It is Thursday morning, and welcome to another episode of Strictly Business. This is our talk show. My name is Rich Wallace, and I am here to join you for the next hour to talk about strictly business. We have a little bit of side stuff that we do on a regular basis to kind of bring everybody in. And as I made an announcement yesterday, we are on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. California time. So I know we have a lot of people in New York and Washington, D.C. that watch our show. It's a little bit later in the day there, and I hope your day is already going well because it's going to go better and better and better. We wanted to start our show off this morning to find out how many of you have already dropped your New Year's resolution. How many are continuing to say, I am going to be a better person in 2023 and I'm going to love everybody. And as soon as you got in your car and drove out there, somebody drove in front of you and didn't stop. And you go, well, that's okay. So that was your first test of following your 2023 New Year's resolution. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't really believe in resolutions. Well, you do believe in change and making yourself better and doing things differently. If you're in business, and most people that are watching our show are business entrepreneurs of some kind. So if you're an entrepreneur out there today, your New Year's resolution, and every January you say, hey, this is going to be my year. This is going to be a better year for me, and we're going to do this, and we're going to make some things happen this year. You had to start right then. You had to start. We're almost at the end of the first quarter. If you have not advanced yourself yet, and if your plan is not necessarily going the way it should be going, sit down with your business analyst, call the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, find out what we need to do to tweak that so that you get back on track. If you determine that you were going to make $100,000 or $500,000 in 2023, then you need to go to December of 2023 and back your way all the way up to see how much you needed to make in January to be on track. What do you need to make in February to be on track? Are you on track now that it's March 2nd? That you can make that $1 million that you were planning on making? Is that investment going well? Do you need to tweak your plan? Do you need to really revisit that situation and see what you can do to make things go the way that you decided? You made that decision that these things were going to go better for you, and this is what you needed to put in place, and you needed to put some things in place to make some things happen. My name is Rich Wallace. You have joined an episode of Strictly Business at 7 a.m. on a Thursday, beautiful Thursday morning here in Southern California, where we had snow last weekend. We had snow, and so it never rains in sunny California, but it snowed Saturday. So on the low levels, it snowed. While mountains are always got snow in them, so that's a great thing. But we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back. We've got a guest for us today. Miss Stephanie is going to step up, and we're going to talk about payroll. We're going to talk about a special event that's coming up tomorrow, Friday, in the Los Angeles area, and we're going to talk about how is your human resource process going in your business and why you need somebody like that. My name is Rich Wallace, and you're on an episode of Strictly Business, and we'll be right back.
One of the secrets to exposure for your business lies within supporting Black businesses and entrepreneurs. And that is why the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce is here, to connect Black businesses from the desert to the sea. Let's join hands to empower and sustain our community. By becoming a member of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, you can grow your business and increase your clientele. With our innovation, we'll generate new businesses and get new customers. And we'll connect new mindsets with businesses from across Southern California to help bridge the wealth gap. Let's connect, build, and grow together. Join us now at blackchamberofcommerce.org.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wallace, and I'd like to invite you to be a part of the 30-year anniversary celebration of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. That's right. It's our anniversary, and we have a present for you. Sponsor any chamber event in 2023, and you will not only be sponsoring that one event, but your message will be prominently displayed at all of our chapter events from the desert to the sea. Wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get your message in front of our members and event attendees across Southern California. Space is limited, so visit our website at blackchamberofcommerce.org today to learn more.
Yes, we are celebrating 30 years of being the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. Wow. And I'm 32. How did we do that? It's a wonderful thing to be a part of what you guys have been doing over the past years. And we're going to have a massive celebration this year. Looking forward to it. Miss Sharifa Hardy is heading that up on our chamber board. So you can go to the Black Chamber website, blackchamberofcommerce.org, and be able to talk to Miss Sharifa Hardy on how you can participate and what we need to do to be able to be at this great celebration. Well, once again, good morning, and thank you for joining an episode of Strictly Business. My name is Rich Wallace, and I have a guest for you. We have someone here, Miss Stephanie, and she's going to come on and she's going to talk to you about human resource. But we've got a special event coming up tomorrow, Friday, in the Los Angeles area. This is Women's Month. So on our show this month, you're going to see a lot of women. You know, I know we got a new talk show coming up called Manuscript to talk about men's stuff. But even at this event tomorrow, they're going to have a platform of men, from what I understand, and women are going to be in the audience asking them questions. That's deep. I don't know if I want to be on that panel or not, but that's what I hear is going to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Miss Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. How are you this morning?
I am very well. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show today to share with your audience. It is much, much appreciated. And you are right. And they ask the questions too.
Well, tell us a little bit about that event that's coming up this weekend. We'll start with that and see how people can participate, or is it too late to buy tickets because it's tomorrow? Tell us what we need to do. Yes.
So Quintessential Queens is actually the name of the event. It was an event that I started in 2013. Initially, it was just called Diva Disconnect, and it was really a birthday getaway. You know, I just grabbed about 10 of my girlfriends and cousins, and I was living in Northern California at the time and rented out a cabin in Napa, in the mountains in Napa, and it was just refreshing. It was refreshing for us to just get away from family, from children, from work, from jobs, from people, just get away and do things that we hadn't done in years, you know, like just walk, just sleep in, play hopscotch, you know, things that we hadn't done. But it was such a refreshing time for the women, and they wanted to continue doing it, and they wanted to invite other women. And I said, you know, the vision that I got for this was not for it to be a big thing. It was always supposed to be small and intimate so that women would have an opportunity to get things off their chest that they needed to get off their chest. But the women kept saying, but I want to invite. So I decided to still keep it private, but I thought to add another component to it. So now it is the Quintessential Queens Conference and Retreat. So everyone is welcome on Friday to come out. And yes, we can still accommodate a few more people. So if they would like to join us, they can go over to stephanieharper.com. But the rest of the weekend is a private retreat. And that private retreat is limited to just 15 women. The retreat portion is sold out. But yes, we do still have some space. If anyone would like to join us tomorrow, they can always reach out.
And you were talking about a retreat. And from the church community, I used to go to retreats that they had, and they were always very relaxing, you know, and usually at night there was a sermon of some kind, but it sounds like your event, the freedom of being able to go in the mountains and just kind of kick it, you know, sleep late, In fact, if I remember right, they didn't even have televisions in those rooms.
Right.
So cell phone didn't work, you know, or then we didn't have the cell phones, but we were out. I mean, just out, you know, guys talking about guy stuff, women talking about women stuff, you know, they were, you know, it wasn't, I guess it was a couples retreat, but single people as well would show up, you know,
Right.
and because they had the men over here and the women over here. So if you were married, you didn't get to go in the cabin with your wife. She was over there with
Right.
some others. So that pressure of, you know, honey, do you want some water was all gone, you know. So but it was a wonderful thing. And I hadn't ever thought about doing another
Business
retreat, a business retreat of some kind to kind of get away, maybe have some simple workshops or whatever
Yes.
that could get some business away and do it up in the mountains and the cabins and stuff. How do you deal with today? We are in a different environment. From I'm gonna get myself in trouble here. From a song of "All in the Family" with Archie Bunker, when men were men and women were women in those days. Do you have those kinds of situations being in California that we're non-gender Pacific and all of those kinds of things? And it sounds like your event is for women that want to be women.
Yes.
And do you have challenges in those different areas? This is a tiptoe kind of conversation here, but
Right.
so-
Not yet.
yeah, okay,
Not yet. I mean, we do have, you know, some members of that are part of the same gender loving community that have, you know, supported and participated at Queens, but you know, we have never had an issue, you know, with a transgender or binary person or anything like that that has come. So not yet, but you know, when the time comes as an HR professional, I think I'm duly prepared to deal with that.
and
You
I
know.
brought that up because I wanted to slide into the HR thing, you
Yeah.
know, because having companies, running companies in the past, and I'm probably HR nightmare on my forehead.
Uh-huh.
I really am. Hey, baby. Hey, sugar. How you doing? Is everything cool, honey? You know,
Right.
you look great today, and you can only say that one time, from what I understand from some HR people, because we have a charter school, and I have to go to sensitivity classes all the time about
Right.
because we deal with a lot of young ladies and young men and transgender people and all these kinds of things. And I'm over age, so I don't quite get a lot of it. I'm trying. I'm moving in that direction. But I am a true HR nightmare. Uh,
You have a whole club.
good. Because
You are not alone.
when you don't know, you don't know. You know, and some city, and I forget which one it was in the Los Angeles market, is changing their restroom signs. They're no longer men, women. They are joint restrooms with
All
different
gender.
stalls inside. And once again, I'm over age, so I'm uncomfortable using the same restroom. Nothing with the women or anything, just my insecurities, I guess you want to call them, of being uncomfortable about. Because I was in San Diego one at a major hotel doing an event, and went to the restroom, and I thought the symbol on the sign was for men. It looked like a man. But when I walked inside, there were two women over there washing their hands. Now, oh my God! I closed the door and ran. You know. Then I went to the valet guy and I said, "Hey, where's the restroom?" He pointed me to the same building and to the same door. And I went over to the door. I looked at the door again. I didn't open it because I was afraid there was some women in there. You know,
Right, right.
that I already spotted them. And I went back to the guy, and he said, "No, that's it. It's a unisex restroom." And I'm like, "Oh." So I got in my car and I went to the gas station and came back, because I'm old and I didn't quite understand it. And that's been 4 or 5 years ago, and now it's all over. Being in HR, I want to get away from the event. I'm gonna come back to the event, but being in HR with a small company, 2, 3 people, some family, some not. How does a small business person with less than 5 employees because they don't think they need an HR person. Because it's just me and, Sally over here and Fred. We've known each other for so long and all of these kinds of things. So we don't even create a handbook, so to speak, of HR rules or, and I found out that the handbook is even valuable in what do you do at 9:30? What do you do at 10 o'clock? What do you do at 11:30? And not so much with not calling the lady honey. I mean, that's in the handbook too. Or not calling the guy honey. That's in the
Right.
handbook too. But how do you get a small business person that 1-man, 2-man, 3-man shop to know that he actually needs an HR situation?
They need to just really sit down and have a conversation with me. That's the first part. But but I think most people don't realize that it really only takes one employee to put you out of business.
Yeah.
So it's all good until it's not. And that's typically what happens. So as long as the employee is getting what they want, they're fine with not having the rules and the regulations. And I just wanted to make a point here that you mentioned what happens at 9:30, what happens at 10:30. So there's a difference there, right there, between a handbook and a SOP, right? So you have your standard operating procedures, but then you have your handbook. So your handbook is really what guides the business practices. The handbook is the agreement between you and the employee that says, this is my expectation of you as an employee, and this is what you can expect from me as an employer. And that's pretty much what the handbook covers, right? You say, we're in agreement that we're going to work together. These are the days that you're going to be paid. These are the benefits that I will or I will not offer. And this is what you can expect from me as an employer. Your SOP, on the other hand, says, this is what I'm paying you for. So there's a difference between even that. And it's those small things like that that can land employers in court. And someone who can, and because California is California, they are always employer friendly. So you have California, Colorado, and New York. Those are the most employer friendly states that we have. So when you get to Georgia and Florida and all them, they don't really, I won't say they don't care about their employees, but hey, their minimum wage is still $5.15. But we'll not even land there, right? But you'll have where you'll see, especially for California employers, there are different laws, and those laws can start as low as 1 employee. So you have, as your business grows, if you have 5 or more employees, you got to follow these laws. 10 or more employees, you got to follow these laws. At 12 employees, it changes. At 100 employees, it changes. So there are a lot of different regulations and rules that as a business owner, you should not have to worry about. And that's the benefit of working with someone like me, who is an HR compliance coach, to ensure that you are compliant. Now, what I tell small business owners is you do not have to hire an HR professional in-house, but you need access to one. You need access to one because you can do something simple. I'm working with a client right now who retired someone and has not yet paid them out of their vacation. Well, that's a violation in California. And it's not that they don't have the money or that it's just that they switched hands. The person that they switched hands with didn't understand the laws because they're not an HR professional. They hired them just to kind of help out in the business office, but they don't understand what they're doing. And so as a result of them not understanding what they're doing, they are putting the company in jeopardy. So they reached out to me and said, Stephanie, what do we need to do to ensure that we're compliant? So, I walked them through the process of what they need to do to bring everything into compliance. And it's just a simple matter of having that resource on hand so that you can say, listen, this is what I want to do. The way that it should have happened is that they should have called me before, right? And they should have said, we'd like to retire this person. What do we need to do? Can you come in and help us? Can you strategize with us on how to properly do this? And we wouldn't be cleaning it up after the fact. But that's typically what happens, especially with small businesses, is that they run into cleanup mode after the fact because they're not proactive in their HR strategies.
Well, I'm going to have to say that I am a violator of all of those rules.
Listen, don't say it on the World Wide Web.
And hey, you gotta call it like you see it. Because as you said, I am not in the club by myself.
You're not.
So in business, and I always talk about with different businesses that go out of business, it's usually not because of the business that they were in.
That is true.
They didn't have a tax person or an HR person or this or that to really hold their hands and make things, or not necessarily hold their hand, but make them understand what they need. But as a small business person, I'm really focused on selling my widgets. I'm struggling getting my widgets. I'm struggling storing my widgets, and I'm struggling selling my widgets. Now I got to be worried about this person over here that ain't even selling no widgets suing me and putting me out of business.
That's right. And that's why you have to have, see, this is also part of your business strategy, right? So when people are putting together their business plans, they're only thinking about the things that make them money. What they fail to realize is that having the right people in place also makes you money. And so I think one of the things that people do now, I'm the first to tell you that human resources is a non-revenue driving department in any organization. I don't care if it's, the Southern California Chamber, if it's IBM, it is a non-revenue department. However, it saves you money in the long run. So, sometimes I think as business owners, we look at, well, how does it make me money? It doesn't make you money, but it will save you some money. And so it's a small investment to have. For example, I have a 5, 10, 15, 20 plan, right? And that's 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, 15 hours, or 20 hours. So what is it worth to you as a business owner to say, let me just pay her a small fee for the 5 hours every month, whether I need her or not.
Mhm.
And then that way, when I have a big project, she's there for me. What does that look like? If we're looking at something that's $500 a month for the person to be available to you, that's a $1,200 a year investment, right? So it's a very small investment for what you need long term, right? You don't need anything in March, but next month you got some stuff that hit the fan. And you wouldn't be able to go out and get a person to come in. Then it's going to cost you a lot of money to have that rectified, versus you have a person that's been sitting on your books for the last 3 months that you haven't needed, but now you need them now, right? And they have these hours banked with you. So now you're saying, listen, I've already been paying, but I need something that's going to take 20 hours. And I'm like, okay, great. You already have 15 hours in the bank. The only thing that you need to do now is take care of your 5 hours, right? So these are different ways that small business owners can work with people like myself to make sure that they have what they need when they need it. So it's almost like your insurance policy, right? You pay for it every month. Whether
That
you
was going
have
to be my next question about the insurance that small businesses, because a lot of them don't have insurance, um, because I'm not going to have an accident, or I know when I was in charge of some churches and things, and we were buying insurance policies, we had riders on there that protect the pastoral staff about relationships and having conversations with women or men or these kinds of things, and counseling sessions, because you could say the wrong thing in a counseling session and wind up, if you're not a professional counselor, because they
right,
read the Bible, they think, well, I'm a counselor because I read all 66 books of King James,
right.
and that'll get you in a lot of trouble, because King James, he wasn't always right. so, so you tend to struggle in that area. But I gotta ask you a question also, because everybody's trying to do a nonprofit. Now, if I have volunteers or people that show up and they pay to get in or whatever the case may be, but I'm here, so I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to help. Let me move the table over here,
Mm.
and those kinds of things. Is nonprofits allocated to the same thing as for-profit businesses when it comes to HR?
They are. They absolutely are. But in the case of using volunteers, that's where waivers come in, so that you can make sure that you are not responsible if they, if now as an employer, let me back up. As an
Mhm.
employer, you have to practice safety with your employees. You're required by law. Those are the OSHA standards that you're required to do by law. With your volunteers, it's a little bit different, although you still have to maintain safety, but your requirements are a little bit different. So there's a different level of requirement. But one of the ways that you can indemnify yourself is to make sure that your volunteers have waivers. You know,
Okay. When you say waivers, what does that really mean? What does that mean?
a waiver that basically says, I'll give you an example. Tomorrow we have a DJ coming in, and we have 2 massage therapists. Before they're allowed to be on the Marriott property tomorrow, they sent them a waiver
Mm.
that says if you get hurt bringing in your massage table, if you get hurt bringing in your DJ booth or your sound, it's not on the Marriott.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so they will not allow them to set up in our banquet room tomorrow until those waivers are on file.
Okay. And then they need to have insurance. I know a lot of times we do events, we have to have insurance, and we have to put that place on the insurance policy for that time period. But
Correct.
and I guess what I'm asking is that if the massage guy that's coming tomorrow, if he's massaging my neck and he breaks it, or injures me some kind of way, are you held? Are you getting waivers for those people between you and the event that you're doing?
I
And I'm
did not.
asking all these questions
Yeah,
because we do a lot of events. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I did not, but the Marriott did.
Okay.
However, as a business owner, I do have insurance that will cover that.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So now, should a nonprofit organization, and we have a lot of them that we're associated with, should they have waivers with their volunteers saying that as you're volunteering here, we are not responsible for your car accident or you slipping and falling or you jumping on beating up somebody? Because sometimes as volunteers, I know he didn't say that to me. I know he's not talking to me, and yeah, I'm talking to you. Next thing you know, they squabbling. Like,
It's
wait a minute,
private.
what the heck is going on here?
Yes, a
So do you
waiver
need,
is a
yeah.
layer of protection. Absolutely. A waiver is a layer of protection, because people will, we're in a very sue happy world.
Hmm.
It was your event. And so you're responsible because you're the one that allowed the volunteer to work. You selected the volunteer that worked for you. So you're directly responsible. And you'll see that a lot of times when people are sue happy. But then sometimes they can go after you on a personal level, and then they can also go after you on a business level. Sometimes it's going to be a civil suit, sometimes it's going to be a business suit. And so that's why small business owners, the issue of nonprofit or for profit, it doesn't really matter when it comes to business, right? I mean, it does in terms of how you pay your taxes and some of the things that you can do. If you're a nonprofit, you have a 403b for your retirement. If you are for profit, you have a 401k, but they're the same they're the same, right? So I think sometimes we might get a little bit mixed up when we say nonprofit and for profit. Even though there is a difference, there are still some basic laws that apply regardless to your profit status.
Mhm. I know I used to own a string of restaurants across the state of Texas, and I lived here in California, and I flew back and forth on a regular basis. Um, and I can honestly say that almost every other month I was being sued for something.
Mhm.
Now, I did win 99%. I think only one person actually won a lawsuit out of us, and it was a small amount. But I had to pay court fees, I had to
Yep.
pay lawyer fees, I had, and then at one point I had a lawyer on retainer, and then I got rid of him, and then I went with the prepaid lawyer thing, and that didn't really work out because all he did was refer me to another lawyer. So I'm paying them, and I still got so it was just so much going on that had nothing to do with the food. It had
Right.
absolutely nothing to do with the restaurant and all of the things that we were doing. It's like so when I talk to small business people, I often stress them that the thing that hurts you the most has nothing to do with what you're doing.
That is true.
So the protection that people have to seek out and find and all of these different things, it's like so we do MOUs with other organizations that we partner with. We try to do an MOU to make sure it's understanding. But with this HR thing and knowing that that I was where was I at? I was somewhere the other day, and a young lady, older lady, referred to me as Sweetie. Sweetie, can you do this? And she referred to me that 2 or 3 times. And then when I got ready to leave, I thought about it. I said, I should probably sue her for calling me Sweetie.
Well, let me just talk on. Let me
But I
touch
was
a little
impressed, I wanted to be her sweetie. So, I'm like, hey, my game ain't that bad.
Hey,
But
sugar. So let's dip there for just a quick second. So sexual harassment can be a huge factor. Of course, we know as a business, you have the responsibility not only to protect your employees from sexual harassment in your place of employment, but you also have to protect them from contractors, right? So sexual harassment becomes an issue when the person becomes offended, not simply because you say sweetie or baby, but if they say, you know what, I would really prefer that you call me Miss Harper, and you continue to call me sweetie, then that's when it becomes harassment. So
well, it's
just
not harassment if you don't tell me to call you Miss Harper, and I
it's
keep
not
calling you.
harassment if you're not offended.
Okay, but
So it
anything
becomes
can offend you.
harassment when you become offended.
Okay, but if you're walking around with a chip on your shoulder, anything could offend you,
That
right?
is true. But you have to make it known that it's offensive to you.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's not simply because you called me baby. It's
okay,
not simply because, unless it's something that's outlandish. If you say, "Oh,
okay,
girl,"
yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
we can be completely offensive, and it's
Oh yeah,
offensive.
oh, when
But
that is, yeah,
that's a different ball game. Then it's
yeah.
like, hold
I
up,
try
hold
to
up.
stay out of that arena, but I slip every now and then.
But I live in a condo, and I kept forgetting to put my garbage out because it's just me. Um, and it takes me like 2 weeks to fill up the garbage bin, 2 or 3 weeks to fill up the garbage bin. So one Friday I was working and I was in my room upstairs, and I heard the garbage man coming down, and I ran downstairs and let the garage come up, and he goes, "Your man ain't doing this for you?"
Oh,
you know so there we go, right there, right? So all I had to do was call, the truck company, the place, and say,
uh-huh.
your trash man is harassing me,
Ah,
right?
mm-hmm.
So something as simple as that, right? And I said, whether he is or isn't, all you need to do is get the trash, right? And, but I wasn't going to give in to him to say, I live alone, or there is no man here, or anything like that. But I laughed it off and said, that ain't none of your business. Just get the
Mhm.
trash. So I didn't buy into it. But
Right.
someone else who may have been truly offended, they could have gone after the trash company
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
said, every time this person comes on my property, because this is a private residence, and every time someone comes on my property, I'm being harassed by your trash man.
Mm.
Now, because I have said to him, it's none of your business, and he mentions it again to me, then it's time to escalate, right? But just the simple fact that he tried it,
Oh yeah, he
you
was
know,
searching. He was
he
trying
was
to
saying
get, that was his way of flirting, without flirting,
exactly,
Let me find out if I could flirt, because I don't want the guy jumping out the window beating me up. So
exactly.
but he could have lost his trash man job, and trash men make a lot of money. And if you get terminated for sexual harassment, is it a list for that, like it is other things, like you go on a sexual harassment list?
No. So there's a
Oh,
sex offender list, though, right?
okay.
So when an employer does a background check on you, they can see whether or not you're on a sexual offender list. So, it depends on how the case is written up, how the case is drawn, and what you are convicted of. So, if he forced his way into my garage, or if he forced his way into my house, and it became something like a rape case or something like that, then yes, he would be in the sexual offender list.
Okay.
So, something that simple can be, it can definitely change your world. At best, the first thing that they would have done is probably put him on a different route, right? So if that was his only complaint, they would have done an investigation and they probably would have put him on a different route. But if it's something where he's constantly getting those type of complaints, then they will definitely do their due diligence and go through the process. I'm sure that this guy is probably a part of a union, so he would definitely have to go through a different termination process than just a regular private employer. But at the same time, who wants the aggravation, right? So there's no telling how long he's been with that company. There's no telling what his background is. I could have been the last straw for him, right? Mm-hmm. So, he could have made a history of going around town. How they talk about the mailman. He might be garbage man.
Mailman always get blamed. Always blamed for taking the wife or taking the husband or whatever. The mailman always gets a bad rap. I mean, BB King got songs that he don't want the mailman at his house. So
right.
So we're going to lighten the load a little bit. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back. And we're going to be talking about the event coming up this weekend.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wallace, and I'd like to invite you to be a part of the 30-year anniversary celebration of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. That's right, it's our anniversary, and we have a present for you. Sponsor any chamber event in 2023, and you will not only be sponsoring that one event, but your message will be prominently displayed at all of our chapter events, from the desert to the sea. Wow. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get your message in front of our members and event attendees across Southern California. Space is limited, so visit our website at blackchamberofcommerce.org today to learn more.
Are you ready to change your life? Let us help you. At Youth Build Charter School, you can get a high school diploma and kickstart your dream career in no time. We offer high school diploma programs in construction, CNA, military, college, and entrepreneurship. If you are between the age of 16 and 24 and you want to manage your studies with a job, recover your credits, or graduate early, we can help you achieve your dream. Call us at 1-888-395-4408 or visit youthbuildinlandempire.org.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
a good business consultant.
And I kept searching.
And searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes. Thank you.
If you are looking for one as well,
look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
Thank you.
And we're back with Miss Stephanie Harper. We have been talking about HR, rules, regulations. It's been very good information, a little frightening, I would say. And before I want to go back to the event that's happening this weekend, I want to spend some time on that. But is there a rule book for HR for small businesses that maybe you've written, or we could, maybe write and a guideline of some kind of what to and what not to do? Is there something that they could pick up online?
So when I lived in Atlanta, I used to be active with the chamber as well. And I wrote a book, which I actually need to revisit, but it was called Human Resources, What You Don't Know Will Cost You.
Oh,
but here's the thing about human resources, especially in California, it changes so rapidly. So, it's a good guide. It's a good reference to have. But the laws change so much and so quickly. As soon as someone files a lawsuit, the law is going to change. As soon as someone makes a big ruckus, the law is going to change. And this is why, for those of us who are HR practitioners, our job is so difficult, because the laws constantly change and there's so much to keep track of. Let's just take an example on the very low level. To give an example, we have the the minimum wage. So the state of California minimum wage is $15.50. The county of Los Angeles is $16.04. You go to Hollywood, is I think $17.18 or something like that. You go to you go to Emeryville in Berkeley, they have a different rate of pay. You go to San Francisco, they have a different rate of pay. And you say, this is all California. You go to San Diego, they may have a different rate of pay. And you say this is all California. Why is it different? So you have the state, you have the federal, and then you have the county.
Wow.
And you have to do whatever is most favorable to the employee.
Whoa.
This is why you need to tap into someone in HR. Because here's the deal. You can Google, right? You can go out there and you can Google and you say, what is the minimum wage for the state of California? And it'll come back and it'll say effective January 1st, 2023, it's now January 1st. I mean, it's now $15.50. But what you're not taking into account is that you live in Los Angeles or you work in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't Google what is the rate of pay for Los Angeles County, right? So it can be incorporated and unincorporated, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're paying your employee the wrong rate of pay. So now as a business owner, now you have to go back and give them retro pay. If they're an hourly employee, you also have to pay a fine of $100 a day for every day that they didn't get their money properly. So there's a lot of little nuances. So to actually write a book would probably not be conducive. So to write a book for that would not be conducive. So there's a lot that you can do. Bye. Thank you. I'm sorry, Rich.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. Someone was making a delivery. Can you lock the door? Okay. I left the door open because I knew that I was going to be on the station. See, it never stops. It never stops.
It never stops.
It never stops. But
so now you left the door back up.
Okay.
You left the door unlocked for the delivery
did.
Man to come in.
Yes.
And bring a package. And if the delivery man came in and just looked at you or made a comment like I did, oh, your hair is really...
Let's be clear. This is a personal friend. It's not just
an
average delivery
okay.
Man.
It wasn't a delivery man. Okay. All right.
That wasn't that kind of
much information. TMI. Okay, let me go back. Let me stick to my program stuff here.
He was delivering shirts for our event tomorrow. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna beat up on the delivery man. But you were saying, okay, not book warranted, but there should be, because I'm opening up we have a print shop, and our print shop has just been for us. So we don't really have all of that. We don't charge. It's our print shop, so we print our stuff. Well, we're now looking at opening it to the public and printing public people stuff, at our print shop, banners and all of that kind of stuff. So we're thinking, okay, we got to hire somebody. I came from the restaurant business where I had over 100 employees, and I'm going to say this out loud. I don't really like employees. It was always a situation, and I did not have an HR person. I had my cousin so-and-so, which we called her HR, but all she did was balance the checks and make sure everybody got a payroll check. So she didn't have no HR policies and none of this, but that's what we called her. And she was cousin. So in a small business, especially a family operation, and that's how most small businesses start. I should ask, can I be sued by my cousin?
Yes, you can. Oh. Yes, you can, because your cousin is technically an employee or a contractor. Now, here's the other part where people get it wrong. So they say, well, I don't want to do employee taxes, so I'm going to make everybody a 1099.
Cool.
Nope. That is the biggest issue. You will be owing taxes for a while. And if you are your face is priceless right now. If you are
killing me.
Rich, we need to talk. We need to talk offline. But if you are calling someone an employee and you are directing their workflow, you are telling them what time to be at work, you're telling them how you want the job done, you're telling them when they can and cannot take off. They are not a contractor. They are an employee.
Stephanie, hold on, Stephanie. That can't be right,
It
because
is right.
if you're an independent contractor and you say to me, "I'm coming to repair your air conditioner," okay, I need you here at 9 o'clock, because that's when I'm here to get my. That's different.
That's a service, right?
Okay.
So they're providing a service for you as a contractor. They're this person. I'm talking about your administrative person,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Your administrative person. You're telling them, I need payroll done every Tuesday. You're telling them, I need you in the office between 9 and 5. You're telling them, hey, you're making too many mistakes on these letters that you're sending out. You are guiding their work. An independent contractor, all you're doing is letting that contractor know these are the hours that I'm available for you to come and work on my house or work on my business. So that's where the time factor. But if you're telling someone your office hours are between 9 and 12, that's the difference.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I don't want to have the FBI and the IRS at my office when I get to this one.
You will.
Help me.
So
Jesus.
a lot of people will put people down as a 1099.
Mhm.
And so what the government says is that you as a business owner, you're evading paying your employer taxes. And so that's where they'll come after you, because as an employer, you have to pay into employee taxes. You also have to pay into Social Security and all those things. And that's part of what comes along with being a business owner. And so a lot of people will say, well, it's a 1099. I'm just letting them pay their own taxes, but you're directing their work. And that's where again, this is where they get caught up. This is where they get, put out of business, as you said, for doing something that doesn't have anything to do with what they do.
Wow. Okay. Too heavy this morning. Let's talk about the event this weekend. Let's talk about how we gonna have some fun tomorrow and Saturday. Let's talk about that. As they say, way heavy.
Way heavy. So again,
I gotta ask one more question about that.
Absolutely.
As a contractor or a school, the Home Depot lot or the Lowe's lot, I'm going over to get some workers, because I need to redo my floor. I'm picking up 2 workers off of the corner. I bring them in. I tell them, hey, I need you to lay this floor. I'm going to pay you this amount of money, and I want the floor laid. I don't care if it take all day, all week, or 10 minutes. This is what I'm going to pay you. Mm-hmm. Are those people now employees or
no?
Or
those are contractors.
Those are contractors.
Those are contractors because you're not directing the flow of their work.
Now, do those contractors have to have a tax ID number, or do they just, this is Frank and I'm just paying Frank?
Are you paying Frank cash?
That depends on what Stephanie tells me.
So you and Frank can definitely have an agreement for Frank to come in. When I moved in here, I had new carpet put in. I went out to a place out in Commerce. I bought the carpet. They have a list of contractors that they work with. They give you the list. You call the contractor. You negotiate with them. They come and do the work. It's a done deal. I paid one guy. I had upstairs done first, and I had downstairs done later. One guy was like, I only take Cash App. Another guy said, I only take cash. Okay. Here's the deal. Cash App is going to track the guy that's taking the payments by Cash App. Yeah. The guy that says I only take cash, it's all under the radar.
Which is why the government is now tracking Cash App and Venmo and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah.
There you go. So, however, if someone from the IRS does exactly what I do, and they go to that rug store in Commerce and they give them that list, and they get that gentleman that says I only take Cash App. I only take cash. The person who works for the IRS is now required. They're going to be required to report that because
yeah.
they came across it,
Yeah, I
right?
got an IRS agent friend. She will turn you in like nothing.
Right, but she's required to,
Yeah.
right? She's taken an oath that that's what she'll
Yeah.
do, right? I think that's the lady. Is that the lady that was at the
Yeah,
Pomona? Yes.
her.
So
she will turn you in like she arrested a few folks.
right, but see, that's where it starts, right? So all she's doing is going to get her carpet, and this is why you got to do business properly, right?
Mhm.
So there's people that do business, and there's people that do business, right?
yeah, I got you. Stop
So-
talking about me, girl.
So if you are one of those people that do business, you're
yeah.
probably going to get a call from Lisa, right?
Okay, right.
So, but it's that simple. Something that simple can put a person out of business. Something that simple can change a person's life because she's obligated by law to do her job, right? So she
Right.
says, yes, come to my house and do 9 times out of 10. The guy that's saying I only accept Cash App, he probably has a business license. He's probably doing everything on the up and up because he knows it's being tracked. The
Right.
guy that says I only take cash, he's probably doing a lot of transactions under the radar, which is eventually going to catch up to him. And then when they find out, because what they'll do, they'll open an investigation, right? And now they'll go to the company that is doing the referrals, and now that company can be in trouble, right? Because they're working with a contractor that's not a legal business. And they're also making references for that contractor. So there's a lot, and this is kind of going more into the business side over the HR side, but there are a lot of things that will happen for a small business owner that can just put them out of business. It's going to take one meeting, right? All she was going to do is get some carpet. Now
That's
he's
it.
going to be put out of business because he would not take Cash App.
Is she in trouble for paying cash?
No, she is not in trouble for paying cash. He is in trouble for not having probably the proper business licensing and probably not reporting his income.
Okay.
So now it opens up an investigation for him. If he's taking that cash and he's putting that cash in his bank account, now he has to, when the investigation happens, they're going to say, how'd you get this money? Where'd you get this money? This money that you're depositing into your account, where is it coming from? Right. So now you have a whole nother issue that you have to account for. Then they're going to go back and, they can see everything that you put into your account for the last 5 years, for the last 3 years. They're going to say, okay, you put $100,000 in here in the last 3 years. Where's the taxes? Now you have a tax problem.
Yes. I come from the generation before me, my family now, my parents didn't believe in banks. They would say, I don't need them people to count my money. So they did all their transactions with money orders and this and that. That's how they lived their lives, So now we're in a, and I got to talk about the event before our time.
Okay.
We're going to have you back another time. So
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, we're going to have you back because because I know for a fact the questions and the things that we're talking about that I'm claiming that I know hundreds of businesses that are operating the wrong way or not doing it as good as they should be doing it. So we're going to definitely have you back and talk about it. But I want to go and talk about the event this weekend. I got about 5 or 6 minutes left. So we want to hit on what's going to happen Friday and the address and all of that.
Sure. So again, it's Quintessential Queens. It's going to be held at the AC Marriott in El Segundo. I don't have the address, but it's Googleable. It's on Maple and something, but it's the AC Marriott in El Segundo. Again, if they just go out to stephanieharper.com, there is a link there that says Queens 2023. And there's a flyer there. They can get all that information. They will need to, if there's anyone that's watching the broadcast that would like to join us tomorrow, they will need to, hey, Sharifa, they will need to, thank you for posting that. They will need to contact us today because we do have lunch. And so we will need to update our lunch count to make sure that they have lunch on tomorrow.
Okay. So it's a head count. You must RSVP. You can pay online.
They can pay online.
And
Yes.
pay online. That's tomorrow, and the time frame is
10 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
10 to 5 on Friday.
Yes.
Saturday is private,
Saturday
right?
is sold out and Saturday is private.
Okay. All right. So now what will happen on Friday? You mentioned to me that there's going to be a couple of platforms or speaking engagements, or what's happening?
Yes.
What's
So
actually
we have a series of speakers that are going to touch on the mind, body, and soul. And then we have our men's panel, which I think is the highlight of our conference. We have a gentleman coming from the Bay Area named Patrick Weaver. And I'll tell you what he told a young lady one year that changed the whole dynamics of Queens. He told her, he said, I hear you on your question. He said, but what you need to do, young lady, he said, you need to go ahead and be the man in the relationship and get you a woman, because no man is dealing with that. So it gets down like that at the men's panel. But it was what she needed to hear. You know, it was absolutely what she needed to hear. And she talks about how that moment changed her life, you know, changed how she dealt with men, how she, you know, approached relationships, things like that. So it gets real and raw. The women ask the questions, and Patrick Weaver he just says what he needs to say. Yeah. But it's a great panel. We have about 5 guys that'll be on the panel, and they'll talk about a variety of things, but they will answer any question that the women ask. So don't be surprised if we throw you on the panel.
Okay. You may need to put that HR hat on.
This is not an HR event. This is not a church event. This is Queens.
Okay. All right. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
This is a life event.
And that's what people need. They need the exposure of life and things that they need to know to navigate through this system and to navigate through some of the haters that they have. I've been teaching so much that you need haters. You need those people to elevate you. So don't be mad at them.
One. We gonna have one.
Yeah, and
Jesus had Judas, we gonna have one.
And I tell people all the time, it's really not about you. They don't really hate you. They love you, but they see what you're doing, and the fact that they're not doing it is like, okay, you know, I got to do something different here with you. So that is just absolutely wonderful. So the panel is going to be tomorrow. And if you young ladies have a question that's been spinning in your mind that you want to ask men, get you a ticket, go here online to stephanieharper.com/Queens2023 and get your question answered face to face. You know, you may not like the answer, but it's the answer that came along with it that's going to walk you through the thing that you need to do. Okay, Ms.
And it's what they need. You know, it's what they need. One thing I'll tell you, if I were to ask my dad the question, my dad's going to try to protect me, right? You know, hopefully none of the women in the room are going home with any of these men immediately.
Immediately.
So they have nothing to give them but the truth, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. And the hotel that you're at again is what?
AC Marriott in El Segundo.
Okay. Now, do you have rooms available for the people that are going to stay, or is it the host hotel? Or
yes, it is the host hotel, and our cutoff time was the 13th.
Oh, okay.
So that the hotel, they'd be on their own for that. We're done. We're done being hosts.
I understand.
We're done with the administrative piece. We're here now. But if people are local, they won't need that. They won't need that. And then on behalf of the chamber, we will be transferring over to the business mixer. So we'll bring the queens out to the business mixer as well. So they'll get an opportunity to meet and greet and do all of that at the end.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Miss Stephanie. I appreciate you coming on.
My absolute pleasure.
I must beg you to come back because the HR situation for the over 3,800 small business that we represent needs a lot of this information. And even the bigger companies, they need to know what they need to know and what they don't know. And you just told me that the rules change so often that the situation that I was stuck on last year is not even a situation anymore. So,
Correct.
I want to thank you for that information. Please look here on the screen, log in, get your ticket, get your question answered tomorrow. And thank you, Miss Stephanie, for coming on. And this is Rich Wallace at Strictly Business. And I got to sign off now. So we will see you guys tomorrow morning.